I had such an intense experience. I cannot even begin to tell you guys. So first of all, congratulations.
Right.
Uh, I will just start by with something that perhaps might seem superficial at first, but shaving your head for a role. It always reminds me of that powerful scene in Stanley Kubrick's Full Metal Jacket, where
Right.
it feels like the recruits are being stripped of their identity. So, in films where transformation is so crucial, well, what is it like for you to lose something as personal as your hair? Does it change the way you connect with the characters somehow?
I'm Native American, and long hair in Native American culture is very significant. Growing out my hair was a very big part of my life and a very important part of my life. So cutting it for this role was definitely a big sacrifice on my behalf. It doesn't sound like it, but it really is. And I did that process properly before we came to set, and everyone buzzed my hair. I had my partner cut my hair for me, and what we do in my ceremonies is we burn them. We burn our hair. So I did that before coming onto set, and then after that, I had the very pleasure of Charles Melton, Michael Gandolfini, each taking turns buzzing my hair, which was amazing. But yes, no, even besides the idea of it built our bond very quickly. I mean, that was one of the first few things we did together,
Right.
was cutting our hair. Yeah.
And just going off of like what the building the bond, Ray did say it wasn't so much stripping the identity from someone, but it was more so a symbolic expression of like we're all starting at ground zero.
Yeah.
And it required a
Right.
certain humility, and like, DeFaro's personal story of just going through that process and that ritual to, do that. It just, it sends a message, just to the commitment that we all had to do a service to Ray's story.
I love that answer. Thank you very much for sharing, guys. Talking about bonding, I believe the film shows a sense of brotherhood that goes beyond just having a good time. For you as actors, when you're on a set, when you're filming a movie as intense as this, how does brotherhood manifest between cast members during the making of a film like Warfare?
Quickly, yeah, I very much believe that this film is like not solely, but a very big portion of it is about brotherhood. It's not like loosely on it. It's very much about these brothers together. You spend almost years together, several of them, and thrown in this hellhole together. That's all I wanted to put up there. But yes, no, it's about brotherhood, really, in my opinion. Go on, sorry.
No, and I was just gonna say, what's interesting is it's explored in a very like natural and like largely subliminal way,
Right.
Because there's little to no dialogue
Yes.
that isn't characterized by technical talk, military jargon or sort of radio chatter.
Yeah.
And so the brotherhood is kind of just explored in like a series of like looks, and it kind of underpins every action. And I think the brotherhood that we developed, naturally came about by way of the boot camp process that we went through. And it also meant
Right.
that the performance element when it came to representing that brotherhood was sort of taken care of. Like all we had to do was fall back on our training, execute what happened that day, and the brotherhood kind of spoke for itself.
I love it. I don't know if you guys have seen the final film, but the experience that I had on the big screen and the amazing sounds unbelievable. So during the making of the movie, are you guys aware of the sound and the effect that is going to have on the audience, or does that comes later? How do you guys experience sound during
Yeah.
the making of the film?
Yeah, I think on set we had speakers set up that would play, kind of add a textured reality to just the whole immersive process of filming, whether it be, the jets flying over, the dogs barking outside, the sound of shooting and whatnot. That really helped inform the process. But like, a part of like the whole filmmaking that we see, which was so brilliant done by, our sound mixing and like the editing and everything, is that, we didn't, Alex and Ray made the intention to like, there wasn't any romanticization with the score. There is no score. So it really kind of but the sound mix was so tight. So you're kind of experiencing this kind of journey on your own. You're not being told how to feel, when the melody or the chimes come in. It's very brilliantly done by just like the whole creative team.
It really lets the audience decide on what they feel.
Right.
You know, instead of manipulating the audience to feel a certain way for a certain scene,
Right.
we really give, you know, if you see Ray standing over Elliot's body and you don't feel anything, that's you. You know, but if you look over that scene and you cry, that's you.
Well said,
you know?
man.
Yeah.